Good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Witherspoon, Deputy Project Director for Public Outreach and Communications for the Purple Line. On behalf of Governor Larry Hogan, Transportation Secretary Gregory Slater, and Acting Maryland Transit Administration Administrator Holly Arnold, welcome to the 8th Community Advisory Team meeting for the Long Branch area. Due to continued COVID restrictions, we are trying the Teams format this time. It's a little different and we hope easier to use than last time out. Please bear with us as we navigate this round of live public meetings, and please make sure your phones are muted. This evening's presentation is being recorded, so you'll be able to find it later on our website, purplelinemd.com. That's purplelinemd.com, along with responses to questions we could either not answer or could not get to tonight. Next slide, please. To begin with tonight, project leaders will introduce themselves and we'll go over ground rules for the meeting. We'll discuss project status, give you a look at the colorful light rail vehicles, provide a construction update, and tell you how to stay up to date on the project. Then we'll open the floor to questions. Now, here are the leaders of the MDOT-MTA Department of Transit Development and Delivery, which oversees the project. Matt.
Thank you, Gary. Good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Pollock, Executive Director for Transit Development and Delivery with the Maryland MTA, and I am responsible for delivering the Purple Line. Next, I am pleased to introduce the Purple Line's Project Director, Vern Hartsock.
Thank you, Matt, and good evening, everyone. Again, Vern Hartsock, Project Director. I'm responsible for the design, construction, and operations of the Purple Line. I'd like to introduce our Acting Project Director, Anita Rogers, who recently accepted a very well-deserved promotion to become the newest member of our senior leadership team. Anita?
Good evening, everyone. As Vern said, I am Anita Rogers, the Acting Deputy Project Director and Contracting Officer for MDOT-MTA. I've been with MTA 6 years and have been on the Purple Line since 2017. A little bit about my department: I'm responsible for contracting, project controls, project administration, and diversity and inclusion. I have a great team who supports me, and I look forward to taking this project to completion. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Anita. Now for some ground rules. We ask that everyone is treated courteously and with respect. No rude comments, please. Everyone should feel welcome to participate. Please hold your questions until the end of the meeting and take turns. Wait to be called on to ask a question. Please raise your hand using the icon on your screen, and we will accept questions and comments, first from CAT members and elected officials, and then we will open it up to the general public. All participants' lines will be muted until we open up the question and answer part of the meeting. The chat function will be monitored during the meeting, so you can also type in your questions. Next slide, please. Tonight, we'll cover the segment of the Purple Line that includes the following stations: Manchester Place, Long Branch, and Piney Branch Road. Now we're going back to Acting Deputy Project Director Anita Rogers. As Project Director Vern Hartsock said, Anita is the newest addition to project leadership, but she has served in the background on the financial side of things for a few years. You might have seen her in a social media post during Women's History Month. She has a story to tell, and I'd encourage you to check it out on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Collectively, Matt, Vern, and Anita represent the new leaders of the Office of Transit Development and Delivery. Here's Anita.
Thank you, Gary. So a little update about the project. We had a settlement agreement that was approved by the Board of Public Works and the Purple Line Transit Partners, who is PLTP. And they've started the procurement process to resolicit the project for a new design build contractor. MDOT MTA, along with PLTP, will have final approval over the selected replacement design build contractor. MDOT and MTA has continued, we have just continued to manage and advance construction during this interim period. Next slide, please. So we've been really busy over the past 6 months, and we want you to bring you up to date on the progress made to get the design build contractor on board. So you can see in January, our concessionaire, who is PLTP, Purple Line Transit Partners, issued a request for qualifications to several firms that previously expressed interest on the Purple Line. In March, the PLTP received qualifications from a number of firms and wilted that number down to 3 qualified design build teams who received their request for proposal. And these three teams consist of Hallmark International, Maryland Transit Solutions, who is comprised of, Dragados USA Incorporated, and OHL USA Incorporated. The last one is Tutor Perini Lunda, who is a joint venture. So in March, PLTP, again, as we said, had a qualifications of a number of people. We narrowed it down to those 3 firms. In addition to that, the 3 proposed teams are currently reviewing documents. They're asking questions. They're conducting site visits, and they're performing a due diligence to evaluate the project. So at the request of these 3 proposal teams, the state, along with PLTP, have mutually agreed to extend the solicitation period for 60 days. And this will allow the teams more time to price the work going forward in a thoughtful and competitive manner. With so much existing information to absorb, the additional time will help these teams to go deeper into the data, reduce their risk, provide the best value to the state, and ensure a successful project start. Now, once we select the design build contract with the best value, we will then take it to the BPW. And that is the update that I would like to provide to you at that time. So at this time, I will turn it over to Vern, who is our project director. Vern?
Thank you very much, Anita. I'd like to give an update on the construction efforts, beginning with the light rail vehicle. Notably, our light rail vehicle is about the longest light rail vehicle in North America. It's 140 feet long, and it's built out of 5 car shells. These car shells are fabricated and painted in Spain and then shipped to a factory in Elmira in New York, where they're then populated with various electromechanical systems and outfitted with all the necessary equipment to become a safe transportation vehicle. A little bit about the LRV car shell production update. Basically, all 130 car shells have been fabricated. 94 of them have been painted. 82 of them are in Elmira, New York for assembly. 5 are in transit from Spain to Elmira, and 7 are awaiting shipment from Spain to Elmira. Next slide, please. Now, to give an update on the field work that we've conducted over the past 6 months, let me begin by saying that whenever you're building a rail line, the first order of business is always utility relocation. This is because when you build a light rail line, you have to bury an immense amount of infrastructure in the ground and overhead. This includes drainage systems, sub-ballast, ballast, railroad ties, track, catenary foundations, which can be up to 19 feet in the ground, catenary poles and overhead, duct banks for the electrical, communications, train control, and traction power systems, as well as retaining walls. So in order for us to clear the path for this construction, we have to relocate any conflicting utilities that are present underground or overhead. So our primary focus up to this time has been utility relocations, underground and overhead, on Piney Branch Road specifically. We've been working with utility partners, WSSC, on water line and sewer work, as well as Pepco for overhead and underground electric work, and Verizon for telecommunications relocations. We've also removed the temporary support of excavation struts at the east portal. I'm going to show a picture of that area soon. But you might have noticed these as you went through the area earlier. There were huge cylinders in the air for the supportive excavation between the walls of the exit of the tunnel, and it took massive cranes to remove these. This was a major construction effort that the MTA managed very successfully. We began construction of the portal, the slab, which is the area where the track will later be put on, and the walls of the portal structure. Again, immense construction, as well as we began the Kenwood House parking lot reconstruction. We're very pleased to have done that. Next slide, please. Here we have a photo showing the underground Washington Sanitation and Sewer water line relocation on Piney Branch Road, construction there. And you see in the trench that those two plates with the horizontal struts, that's supportive excavation. And you see the excavation equipment there performing its duty, and workmen with maintenance of traffic cones that you see in the area. Next slide, please. Here, this is the area coming out of the tunnel here where you see the immense wall structure. This is rebar formwork, which is on the left side there. That's the green rebar. That green is, by the way, it's a protective coating to prevent corrosion of the rebar. That's for a future wall at the east portal. And on the right, they're finishing work on a recent concrete pour on a tunnel wall. Again, these walls are just immense structures, amazing construction. Next slide, please. Here is the photo showing construction of the new Kenwood House parking lot. Again, we're very pleased to be delivering that to the community. Next slide, please. We're going to take a look at the next 6 months, looking ahead in terms of the construction we're going to continue to work on. Again, continuing those utility relocations, both underground and overhead, while we're working on onboarding the new design build contractor, as Anita Rogers spoke to. We're going to be doing the removal of the temporary purple wall, that's adjacent to the east portal. Folks have seen that for some time, and I'm certainly very happy not to see it anymore. As well as completion of the Kenwood House parking lot reconstruction by this fall, as well as the complete construction of the portal slab walls by this fall. At this point, I'm going to turn the presentation back over to Gary Witherspoon for an update on construction work times. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern. As you've probably seen, our typical workday shift runs from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and our typical night shift from 7 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. Our makeup or maintenance day will be Saturdays as required. You'll see notifications posted on purplelinemd.com for all work zones and hours in which work will be conducted, along with any closures, lane closures that are needed. Next slide, please. You should know that existing traffic patterns will change as work occurs as needed. Work may occur on both sides of the road and across roadways. And when a lane closure is required, a notice will be distributed via text and email. And if you haven't already, you should sign up through purplelinemd.com. purplelinemd.com. Go there, you can sign up to get alerts when things are happening in your community. Throughout our work site, you may see orange cones and barrels, which could serve as temporary barricades. You'll see flag persons, when required, directing traffic. We ask you to be especially careful around our construction sites. Pedestrian safety is paramount, as is the safety of our workers. We want everyone, including you, to make it home safely every day. Safety, after all, is our #1 priority. Finally, because underground utility work is ongoing, you may see temporary road plates in place. Please be careful when driving or walking over those. Next slide, please. If you didn't know it, the MDOT/MTA has a business engagement team in the Purple Line Project Management Office to foster relationships with those businesses along the alignment that may be impacted. The team is led by Leslie Leith, the longtime senior liaison on the project. And it includes Marlene Veris, the Business Engagement Officer for Prince George's County, and Mindeep, the Business Engagement Officer for Montgomery County. I also want to acknowledge the outreach team that does a great job arranging these meetings and preparing these presentations. Outreach Manager Lauren Garrett, Julio Cerrone, our Digital Engagement Liaison, and Genesis Baez, the new liaison for Prince George's County. Running tonight's presentation is Chris Stokes, who leads the project's photo and video efforts. We are grateful for all their hard work. Next slide, please. Again, you can sign up for construction notices at purplelinemd.com. For project questions and comments, you can contact the outreach office. That's us at outreach@purplelinemd.com. Outreach@purplelinemd.com. You can even call us. For English, 443-451-3706, or for Spanish, 443-451-3705. We are manning our hotlines, so someone will be available to take your calls around the clock. And please follow us on social media. We've got some great stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Next slide, please. This concludes our CAT presentation. Before we open the meeting to live questions, I'll invite our local elected officials to comment. I understand that Kathleen Bender has joined us from the office of Delegate Janelle Wilkins. Kathleen, would you like to offer any words? Please unmute yourself. Okay. I'm not hearing any comment from Kathleen. All right. In that case, we will go to questions that came in before the meeting. Matt Pollock will address those questions. Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do see that Kathleen is trying to chime in.
Okay.
Can we unmute from our side, or does the unmuting have to happen from her side?
Let's see.
Sorry, let me try that.
Yeah. Look on.
Hi, good evening. Sorry, I was getting something that said only organizers can unmute, but then something just popped up asking me to unmute. So I think it's working now, hopefully.
We can hear you, yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm just here on behalf of Delegate Janelle Wilkins. Unfortunately, she had a prior engagement, but she just wanted to pass on her appreciation for sharing this information. This is really important to constituents, and she's been working closely with small businesses along the Purple Line route. And so thank you for speaking with us, and I've been taking notes that I'm going to pass on to the delegate.
Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I see the questions are popping up. Let me start with both an appreciation and a thank you. Thank you for sending some of these questions ahead of time, because gives us the opportunity to look into some of the answers, which aren't always at the top of our head, and it allows us not to avoid answering it during the meeting. And secondly, an appreciation for some pretty detailed questions. You all are definitely Purple Line aficionados, so I respect that. Thank you. Let's go through the questions. What steps remain for tunnel construction? Excavation within the tunnel was completed by the previous design build contractor. Right now, we're focusing, as you can see, on the portal, the walls near the tunnel. Once the new design build contractor is on board, the new design build contractor will finish the construction. That's completion of all the systems, the lighting, communications, placing the track, construction and fit out of the Manchester Place station, and of course, restoring the traffic conditions around the tunnel. Next question. The new design builder will have a lot of choices, but should we assume by default that a new concrete facility will be going up by Arliss Street once the new builder is on board? The previous plant was used for completion of the tunnel excavation and tunnel excavation and lining. While we do not yet know exactly how the new design build contractor will complete the project, we don't anticipate that another concrete plant would be installed at this location. That takes us to the next slide. Okay. Under the original contract, there were incentives for getting to opening. The concessionaire holding some of the financing for the project, 2 payments at key milestones, and the availability payments only starting as the project is open for public transit. We won't know the details on the schedule until a new builder is decided on, but are those incentives remaining in place? Yes, our new design build contractor will have similar incentives for getting the light rail line open for service. They won't, be the exact same, but it's the same intent and key processes for those incentives. Concern expressed regarding the conditions of the roads in the Long Branch area, Bradford and Plymouth Street. Roads are in bad shape with lumps, ridges, trenches, and depressions that work trucks have left, and the patch jobs do not last. Does anyone inspect our streets? Absolutely, and certainly we're concerned when you all are concerned. We will review the roads within our limits of disturbance and determine any of the repairs that we can make. As you can imagine, roads outside of the project limits are the responsibility of the road owner, which would either be, in this case, Maryland Department of Transportation, SHA, State Highway Administration, or Montgomery County. If the specific sites can be identified and you can provide that to our outreach team, we're happy to sort through, the ownership and who needs to work through the repairs and help facilitate that for you as Montgomery County and SHA have done in the past, coordinating with us. Next slide. Okay. What is the status of the requested graffiti removal at Manchester Place? We're finalizing contract arrangements that will allow us to clear graffiti throughout the corridor. We're also seeking permission to access the private properties, such as those owned by Montgomery County Public Schools, right up there at the International Middle School. Given the various negotiations, we anticipate graffiti cleanup will occur over the next couple of months. In the meantime, please alert the authorities about any graffiti you see. These are criminal matters that will and should be referred to the police. Can the black mesh netting on fencing around Flower Avenue be repaired or replaced? Oh, yes, absolutely. We have been replacing the black mesh netting as needed along the alignment. We recognize that it's weathered, and this is on the list for replacement by us in the near future. Question. Can the third eastbound lane on Piney Branch Road between Arliss Street and University Boulevard be open to traffic? This would allow for cars making right turns to advance more quickly and prevent traffic backups at Barron Street. Unfortunately, there never was a third lane on Piney Branch Road between Arliss Street and University Boulevard. Going back a couple of years, the previous Piney Branch roadway alignment consisted of 2 lanes in each direction with the varying medians and 2-way left turn lanes. The previous design builder then came in and removed the medians, utilities, and other obstructions along the roadway, and then shifted the lanes to the north. This traffic shift allows the extensive existing and forthcoming construction to continue while minimizing impact to traffic. And to that point, unfortunately, MTA is not able to install a new temporary third lane in this section. Next, I don't know if there are more. No, I didn't think there are more. Although I did have another question that was shown to me. So let me just read that out loud. Maybe it was from another CAT group, but anyway, the question was, how is the proposed schedule by the builders included in the competition criteria for choosing the next constructor? The proposed initial schedule is going to be one of the technical criteria evaluated in selecting the project's next design build contractor. And then as the evaluators, what we're looking for is a clear, realistic, achievable, and integrated schedule. So back to you, Gary, if you want to traffic cop some additional questions live.
Okay, we now invite you to raise your hand so we can acknowledge you. Then you should unmute yourself. If you can't, then we can unmute you. If your question is not addressed tonight, don't worry, all questions will be addressed later in a question and posting on the website. Similar questions will be combined, so you may not see your question posted verbatim. You also can type in your question using the chat function. We will address your questions if we have time. Additionally, we will accept questions for a week until June 22nd at outreach@purplelinemd.com. Now I see a question from Annie Tolkien. Annie, fire away.
Oh, let's see. Thanks, Gary. I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Great. Yeah, it's shocking, I guess.
We lost you there.
That's probably for the better. It's okay. So my question, if you can hear me, was just about the construction time at Manchester Place. You'd mentioned that the times were starting at 7 a.m. and just an observation. I know that the crew over here has been starting a lot earlier, mostly because we're hearing a lot of beeping of trucks backing into the space. And I guess I just wondered about the time that they're actually starting and what is defined as being construction versus like preparing to construct. Because the beeping of the trucks is something that people have been complaining about around here. So just putting that out there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Annie. I'm going to, in a second, pass it over to Kevin Oberheim, who's really managing our site conditions out there, because this is not a question that I can answer directly. So, Kevin, are you available?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. So, Annie, I appreciate you bringing that up. We typically start at 7 a.m. unless we have a specific reason to start earlier than that. A lot of times the crew starts to show up prior to 7 so they can get on site and start, unloading things, doing their teambox or toolbox talk to talk about safety for the day, do their stretch and flex. That's all part of kind of preparing for the day for most contractors and making sure that everybody's in the right state of mind before the work starts. If they are actively working before 7, I'll certainly follow up with our team and with the contractor, make sure we are being mindful of our neighbors out there. I know sometimes when we get into the heat of summer, the contractors tend to start drifting earlier in the day for a start so they can get out of some of the summer heat. So that could be part of it as well. But I'll certainly follow up with the construction team and make sure we are adhering to our 7 a.m. start time.
Okay, next we have a question from Kit Gage.
Hi, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Good. One question is brought forward from the last meeting and from an email. As you spoke about the Piney Branch and Arliss intersection, and there's a lane change, as was noted, on the northeast bound area. So if you're in the passing lane functionally, you were supposed to change lanes, and there's a very faint line that shows you that, but most people ignore it, and it's a serious traffic hazard. And I asked for better lining or cones or barrels or something, and last time I was there, which was a few days ago, it was the same problem, and in fact, my husband was driving and he missed it. So it's, it is a serious issue, and it's one that you all caused and so should address. The second question is which is the Kenwood House parking lot. I saw the big new concrete space for the parking lot. It looks fine, but I'm wondering if you have a stormwater capture and infiltration setup for that parking lot. Since it's a new build, there should be, you should be capturing all the stormwater that comes off of that parking lot and infiltrating it rather than have it go straight into Piney Branch or wherever it would go. Okay, that's it.
Great. Thank you. And actually, you don't jump on mute yet, because I'm just confirming. So when you're talking about the Piney Branch Arliss intersection, this is where the median, not the median, the edge of the road shifts out, and people are mistaking it for actually a driving lane.
Well, no, there's a line. It's where that median was, as was noted, the median was removed, and so then people are supposed to drive in Northeast. They're supposed to drive where that median was,
right? And
they have to make a slight, a slight jog to the left as they're driving it, and then the cars just to their right would do the same thing. But what ends up happening is they end up merging into they go straight ahead and functionally merge into the second lane.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we can take a look at it. We'll go back out, take a look at the striping, making sure that it's everything it's supposed to be. Again, I'll see if Kevin has anything he wants to add on that, but certainly it's something we want to go out and look at, because yeah, I mean, you see it all the time, that the people when you're drifting lanes. I don't know this particular intersection. I don't drive this one, but yeah, I'm familiar with the phenomenon. So yes,
but, I mean, I'm particularly frustrated with that, just because I raised it at the last CAT meeting, and I followed up with an email to outreach, and and I've seen it's the same old very dull stripe that obviously no one's seeing. So I'm trying to put a little more emphasis on this, just because I'm not getting a response from you all.
Matt, do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
This is Joe Mogus, M.SHA District 3. What she's essentially pointing out is the northbound Maryland 320 Piney Branch Road shift from the west of the intersection or the south of the intersection into what is now the median. So there's a simple solution to that. It's just what we call extension lines. We could do just some white edge line extension lines, dashed lines to the intersection, or supplement that with also the yellow. So we'll work with Kevin and the crews, see what we can do about that.
I'd appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, let me just put a star on it here. Okay. Thanks, Kit. The second question, which is also going to end up with Kevin, is just an observation about the Kenwood parking and a question about the storm drains, which I'm sure are there. But again, I don't have the details, so I think it'd probably be easier for Kevin to talk about that.
Sure. So the new portion of the parking lot does have a drainage system as part of it. When the Manchester Place station was built, the outlet pipe, or the first portion was built by the previous contractor. The outlet pipe, or a portion of it, was installed. We are installing the drainage system for that parking lot. In fact, that just went in this week, yesterday, I believe. And we will have a temporary discharge, that water will flow out and into the Manchester Place station work zone, where we have a pumping system and a water treatment system. On top near Plymouth Street, there's tanks, settlement tanks there, part of the water treatment system, and then that water is ultimately treated again before it outlets the project. In the final condition, that storm drain from the parking lot will connect into Wayne Avenue and go into our normal stormwater management facilities. So there are plans for that, and that is part of the work that's going on right now.
Okay, just to clarify this, by stormwater management system, do you mean collect and infiltrate into the ground, or you just mean collect it and put it in a pipe and send it to Sligo?
Well, along Sligo, there are other stormwater facilities. We have, the stormwater treatment facilities these days are much more than just ponds. There's infiltration trenches and planter boxes and various other ways that we can treat water underground before it enters the creek. I don't know exactly what we have through that stretch, but MDE certainly requires us to treat all water before it enters any streams, both for quantity for rain events, just to manage the amount of water leaving the project or leaving the site at any given moment, as well as treating it for runoff and pollutants along the way. So there are provisions. I couldn't tell you what they are off the top of my head, but we could get back to you on that after we have some time to look at the plans.
That'd be great. I'd like to, because Friends of Sligo Creek pays close attention to those issues. I'd like to hear what those plans are.
Sure. I can assure you that Maryland Department of the Environment has kept us to the strictest standards with state requirements for stormwater management.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as a reminder, folks, if you are not speaking, please make sure you are on mute. Next, we'll take a question from Kevin Hawkins.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Hawkins. Little background, about 5 years ago, maybe 6 now, did a little meeting in my backyard, and we thought we would get organized a little bit to address the Purple Line. Started a little grassroots organization, Neighbors Impact Against from Manchester Tunnel, and we dubbed it NIMTA, N-I-M-T-A. I'm sorry, N-I-M-T. So I'm always looking for reasons and excuses to get to know my neighbors anyway. So this was a good excuse. So we got about 35 or 40 neighbors on our little email list. And their biggest concern this last go round was the conditions of our highways, of our roads. And it only takes a minor inspection to see that the roads are just worsening by the day. And really to the point where I think they are damaging to our automobiles. Our speed humps have diminished to nothing. And when we do request patching, that's what we get. We get a patch job. And of course, the next, any heavy rain and it's destroyed. So right at the corner of Plymouth and Bradford Road right now is basically just full of potholes, particularly at 8900 Bradford Road. And we know for a certain that large trucks over time, over the past couple or 3 years, did this. And for the life of us, we just can't get anybody to come out and inspect it and repair it. So that's the biggest concern. When I talked to my neighbors, that was a number one thing that they said was that our roads have just shriveled up to nothing. And we think that's very shameful being here in Montgomery County. So do I need to take pictures and send them to everybody? Can we request an inspection? Can we bring someone from the county to come out and look at this just to get our roads up to some kind of standard where we don't feel like we're damaging our vehicles?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you bringing up. Normally I would say yes, send us a picture, but I'd say that this forum counts as a good notification. So I wrote it down, Plymouth and Bradford around the 8900 block. Yeah, I mean, definitely. As we mentioned before, we'll send our folks out there. We have Marcela Cordova from Montgomery County DOT on the phone too, and she may independently send someone out there to take a look at it. I'm assuming, I don't think I'm out on a limb here saying it's probably county roads. Marcella, you want to jump in?
Thank you, Matt. Yes, I've been listening and taking notes, and yeah, we'll definitely follow up with Kevin and your team, and support the issue for sure. Yes, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah.
I have
Thanks,
another
guys.
question, if it's okay, Gary.
Fire away.
Okay, someone mentioned the purple wall being removed. Do we have a date for that?
I don't believe we have an exact date for that. That was listed by Vern as happening within the next 6 months. Vern or Kevin, I don't know which is better to say whatever there is.
That should be sometime this summer. We're starting to wrap up the work on the portal on the Arliss Street. We are not going to be able to complete all of the work along Arliss to reopen it, but we are completing the portal construction. And as part of that, when we start to demobilize, we plan to take the purple wall down, reinstall any fencing, and secure the site, and kind of leave it prepared for the next builder to finish the project.
Okay, perfect. One more question as it relates to the tunnel itself. How is that looking? What's the timeline on that being? I'll tell you what I'm getting to, guys. I would really, myself and a couple other neighbors would like to actually get a tour of that tunnel. What's the chances of that happening?
That's a good question. I would say go ahead and send an email over to our outreach group.
Okay.
I think the question right now really has to do with the airflow through the tunnel.
Okay.
We have to make sure there's minimum airflow before we can, take people through it.
Okay. Would that be you, Gary? Would I reach out to you, Gary?
Please do. Please do.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Also send a note to outreach@purplelinemd.com.
Okay. Okay. All right.
It'll be reinforced.
Okay.
Okay, Mark Perlman, you have a question. Well, Mark's question was, Arliss Street was supposed to be closed for construction. When will that be happening?
I don't know the answer to that one. Kevin, do we have any upcoming? I'm guessing it's not during our work. Any types of Arliss closing?
So the upper portion of Arliss between Flower and Garland is closed and has been closed since September of 2017 to begin the tunnel construction. The southern half there will be what I would call a partial closure. Once the upper half can be reopened, Arliss Street is reconstructed and opened all the way up to Flower. The portion between Garland and the Flower Branch Apartments closes to continue track construction, and there is access to the Flower Branch Apartments from Piney Branch, but there are some changes that will come in the future. I couldn't give you a schedule on that now because that's part of the next design builders work. But sometime in 2022 or 2023, they would start moving through the various traffic stages to build out the track from the portal all the way down Arliss Street to the station and build the station construction at Piney and Arliss. So the upper portion's closed now. That will reopen at some point in the future, and then the second half of Arliss will be partially closed for track construction.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, do we have other questions? Please raise your hands. Okay. Leah Harris. Fire away, Leah. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, so when we all got hit with that graffiti along Wayne Avenue back in the fall, Do you remember when your purple line got hit at the school at Dale and Wayne, but we also got hit above the parking lot, our temporary parking lot on Wayne Avenue with all that graffiti? Do you know do they may remember what I'm talking about?
I don't remember a particular incident. I apologize for that, Leah, but
Okay,
yeah.
well, I understand, I understand that you may have a camera on Wayne Avenue, a security camera that takes a picture of the temporary parking lot and the structure up above where you're building our parking lot back. Is that correct?
I know we had a camera placed at the opposite end of the parking lot from your building. Kevin, is that right? Did we put?
I believe so, but I don't want to say, tell you wrong. So we would have to check on that.
Yeah.
Could you let me know? Because if we have any issues with vandalism or anything, it'd be nice to know if you have a camera over there. You
Yeah.
saw how helpful cameras are to have with
Yeah.
our incident, that we were able to, have everything on camera. So, but we can't put one across the street to
Yeah.
like catch the front of our building like you can. So maybe Gary could email me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me-
Leah, the one thing I'd add is for that one, for that type of stuff, I believe time is really going to be of the essence, because I think the way our
we haven't
cameras
had
work-
anything yet. This is for
No.
the future.
Okay, yeah, because I think we record and then over record, and so.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we do the same thing, but if we have an incident, I would like to be able to call on you guys, since if you have a camera there, but I need to know you got one facing our temporary parking lot and how much of our building it covers.
Yep, good call.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin Hawkins has another question. Looks like you're muted, Kevin.
Gary, I was actually trying to lower my hand, so I do not have a question.
In there, Kevin.
All right, are there other questions? Well, seeing none, that concludes our CAP presentation. Remember, you have another week to send us questions until June 22nd at
Excuse me, Gary.
Joel.
It's Joe Watterson.
Go ahead, Joel, fire away.
I didn't know if the public started me answering the questions, and you didn't say anything about it.
Go right ahead, Joel.
Well, I'm a bus advocate, and some of the bus routes and the bus stop are going to be affected. And I just want to know if they're going to be like the Baltimore system, like the light rail, the MTA buses, the subway. Would that be the same thing to the Purple Line, or are they going to? I know some of the bus stop going to be either eliminated or moved to another section of the street. So if they're gonna, what they're gonna do? If they're gonna, are they gonna do that, or are they gonna have? What's the plan for the bus service? Are they gonna? So that's my question and my comment.
Gary, is that one you can take on the bus integration?
Naturally, some of the bus stops will be done away with because they'll be replaced by Purple Line stops. But for the most part, I believe bus stops will be maintained as much as possible. But that will be determined in coordination with the bus managers, including WMATA and MDOT-MTA. So it remains to be seen exactly how the bus stops will be impacted. But for the most part, they will remain intact. In some cases, they will be eliminated. But we'll have to find out down the road when that's going to happen. And as soon as we do, we'll let you know.
Matt, do you mind if I jump in one more time?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Gary. So WMATA, Ride On, Prince George's County, the bus, we don't dictate where they would like to keep their bus stops. They do their own assessments, ridership metrics, and if they choose to consolidate bus stops, that would be wholly their decision to make. The only time that M.SHA or even MTA in this case would get involved is if there's any interference with their existing plans, which are already approved and reviewed for the most part. So in general, for these questions, we would have to defer to WMATA, Ride On, and Prince George's County, the bus, as far as their decision for stuff.
The University of Maryland shuttle buses.
And shuttle UM, correct, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
All right, that concludes our CAT meeting. You have another week till June 22nd to send us questions at outreach@purpleLineMD.com. Outreach@purpleLineMD.com. So if you think of anything after the meeting, please send us a question, and we will post it on our website ultimately as we finish compiling the questions from tonight's meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now over to Matt for final words.
Thanks, Gary. I really appreciate everybody coming out and joining on this online virtual event. I hope I don't have to knock wood. Well, too late. Our next meeting is going to be live. Okay, I'm going to say it. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think 6 months from now we should have no problems. I think it's important for us to get back out and face to face, and so I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to talk to you all in person, meet you all, and continue this conversation as we go forward. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.